Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Source. Today is March 25th. Today's show is Collective Wealth Stewardship, brought to you by the ASC, Awakening Sovereignty Collective, website www.asc.ai. Today we have Dakota and Leela here with us. If you'd like to make a brief introduction, let us know who you are, what organizations or projects, just briefly, what you're bringing to the table today, and then we'll get started with the show.
Cool. So I am one of the Senate coordinators of the ASC. I do a lot of the business development, also work with software development, specifically in artificial intelligence applications that simulate human behavior. Also a foreman, construction foreman, for building new paradigm eco-communities. Leila?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Doron. My name is Leila, and I'm also an ambassador of the ASC. And I have a history of being very excited about sacred commerce and wealth stewardship, especially around the idea of culture and a generosity paradigm. And this new era we're coming into where resources aren't really mine or yours. The atmosphere of the air isn't really mine or yours. And any action that moves towards wealth for all is my action as well. So feeling into this capacity that we already are billionaires collectively. And I'm excited to hear what Dakota and you have to share today about what this wealth stewardship looks like today and how we can begin to move towards that more unconditionally giving way of being and generosity as a match for the abundance that we are.
Hi-oh.
Thank you.
Thank you. And my name is Doran Kutash. I'm stewarding as a co-creator of The Source, Source Network, and it's just a unifying call that all humanity unites and we bring together the resources and we build out the resource-based economic system. We complete paradise on earth, and it's an open source process to do so. And I bring my key roles: strategy, presence, first and foremost, presence, strategy, marketing, social media, branding, and ultimately just awareness, networking, promotions, raising awareness of all that we're doing as a collective to complete paradise on earth, just shining the light. And we've stepped into the media aspect of building out the global broadcast network by shining the light on all of our different organizations and encouraging them all to step into creating their own media network and having their own shows and open sourcing the process. I just today actually got this strong guidance come through this. Normally I would say, Dakota, go first. This is your show, but I just want to steal the air here for a second, as it is collective. So just really strongly guided to see that each of us that has these movements to bring in a better world are partners on. Each of us has our own project or projects, and that we all partner up. So like literally like board of directors, like in the old paradigm, all the elite companies per se, all are sitting on each other's boards of directors, and they are all co-owners of every single business per se in the old paradigm of wealth accumulation, that we haven't crossed that bridge yet, but this is the time we're crossing that bridge. And I'm just like super excited to learn more about these interconnected collectives and all these things that the ASC is bringing to the world. And because I'm just seeing this, like The Source, we've brought these 20 projects to the forefront as open source. Let's just do this together. and now nobody steps into those roles. But I want to see all the big movements to bring in a better world to have, say, 1% of each project, so that, you know, up to 49% is every movement for a better world, so that I can then, you know, then we do an exchange. Like, I see this idea of like building a website that makes it so easy for us to just match up with like-minded project creators and just, okay, here's what I'll give, 1%, you give 1%, okay, match, documentation, legal, completed, done. We both have our paperwork, so that all the large movements for bringing in a better world are all owning every single movement for bringing in a better world collectively, so that we can then show up to the world as like, here's 40 of us movements that are united fully, and then we want to invite the rest of the movements out there, or projects out there, to join us, and we'll start sharing ownership and sit on each other's boards for all of these other projects out there, and ripple that out to all humanity, all projects, and then the completion of paradise on earth. So that's that.
Cool. Can I speak on that for a second?
Sure.
So with the system we use that I've nicknamed interconnected collectives, we allow for exactly that, for each and every collective to share a part of itself with either other individuals or other collectives. What's really interesting about this system is it actually sits on top of the current legal system. So there are a couple advantages to that. First, you don't have to file old paradigm paperwork that costs thousands or tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Second, interconnected collectives cannot be sued. They cannot be prosecuted. They can't be attacked by the old paradigm. Interconnected collectives of a significant size are designed to hold legal old paradigm systems within them. But it's very much like the interconnected collective is the board, and then that board as one being makes decisions that informs the legal shells of how they're going to operate and engage with the old paradigm. But essentially, each collective has its own shares, and standard is there are governance and resource shares. And each collective gets to decide what their voting policies are, you know, what their trusts are, what their action points are, everything, and then can also assign shares to other collectives. So we could, you know, share up ownership in that model of like 49% shared to everything, or whatever makes the most sense in the moment. And then, you know, if there's a significant amount of money moving, we can also write legal. What we do is, instead of putting a lot of this into like actually having a for-profit that's a public for-profit with stock, which is normally how you would do this, since we don't really want to go public, what we do instead is write personal agreements. We write personal contracts. So there's just, not to get too far into the law, but there's just little games we can play where we can give each other ownership and control without having to go public or pay a lot of money with really expensive legalese-based contracts.
One of our blueprints at the source is the cause market, which is to replace the stock market. So as we build that out, like, it would be great to go ahead and build our own market, like use the you know, how the stock market runs, like kind of like use a lot of what works with it, but make it legit, and really just have all of our projects, humanitarian projects and high level causes, and then all the way down to local causes and smaller, you know, a local family member that has cancer, that you just pop it right into the cause market, and it populates Ojai, California, family member cancer, boom, right there in the Ojai cause market. But then on the global, you have like perfect health for all, and the high level, you know, humanitarian causes, free energy and whatnot. So we could spark that project forward a little bit and actually duplicate the stock market a little bit, and start to actually use some of the beauty of how it works, and it can be legit, and And yeah, we can go public then. Like I wouldn't, I'm like you, I wouldn't go public in the current systems either. And I played in the old business paradigm, and I saw, you know, a lot of uh, yeah, I basically had that decision within myself, because there was a point where I was like, I had 40 grand in the stock market, and I was like playing every day on gold, you know, exchange traded funds, and on oil, you know, exchange traded funds, a collective of oil, a collective of gold, a collective of various assets, which I knew would go up and then down. And I would just like make $100 a day, 100 to 300 bucks a day every day by doing exchange traded funds in the stock market, until like there was a moment when I decided, all my education was saying you're supposed to diversify your portfolio and go long. And so I did that. And the day that I did that, I sold I got out of the day trading of gold and oil, and even it was even natural gas at that time, because I knew what was going to happen. And then there was even the financial industry. I was investing in the finance because I knew what was going to happen with that too, and I was making a lot of money. But then when I went long with a portfolio, like they taught me to, that was like the day that the stock market crashed in 2008 with the real estate bubble bust, and that's when I learned what was really happening, and how it's all rigged and all that sort of stuff. And it's just like, and we're all tied to that same timeline. 2008, we all had a fall, you could say. So.
All except for the elite that profited tremendously off of it. Yep.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add to that tangentially, though? Gotta unmute.
Yeah. I like the way that this is just progressing in time and space. One thing that we're definitely all bringing to the table is this entire new system design. And so we're speaking about it in all these different layers, like everything from the stock market to how we're going to not necessarily believe in the real world of legal entities of the past. And so I'm enjoying the legitimacy of these logistics of this conversation.
Something I want to speak into is this thing where it's like the cart before the horse before the cart kind of deal, where a lot of these systems have been developed to some extent, to a usable extent.
Yeah.
However, very, 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 very few people are using them. Even in this new paradigm movement, I believe there are less than 1% of like quote unquote new paradigm beings that walk the walk and talk the talk that actually use any of these systems. Because of that, the systems are not being continuously developed. Two reasons. First, people with money, because there's no one using it, and they're not the same. Generally, people with lots of money also are not like new paradigm visionaries. That is like almost never happens. So they don't see many people using it, so they don't think there's a demand for it, so they don't invest their money into making better systems that more people will use. Then on the other end, you have a bunch of developers that do this stuff as their life's passion for free, but then you have the same issue where they like, these people that design these systems, myself one of them, we earn $100 to $300 corporate. That's what that's our rate, and we earn that rate. We've worked full time for corporate before. And so when we give our time and energy to develop these systems out for free, we'd like to see people use them. And then when no one uses them and we could give our time instead to make that kind of money for corporate, that's what most of us end up doing, because we're actually valued by the old system. Whereas this new system isn't choosing, or this new movement has not yet chosen to actually value and honor the system designers by using what's available now. And then speaking into that even further, I've been a revolutionary for close to 12 years now, very actively. Every single day I wake up and I'm like, how can I embody the revolution today? So I'm kind of an old timer in this game. And I've seen a lot of people, thousands of them, come and go out of this like revolutionary state of being. People come in, they're super excited, they're all juiced up on some channel. Maybe they just had an ayahuasca ceremony or some kind of out of body like God experience of various forms. And they got the transmission and they're like, all right, let's do it. And they vision it out and they channel it and they draw it and they write it and they blueprint it. And then they get to the part where they actually need to act over and over and over again over a long period of time to get what they want, to actually embody and ground in those blueprints. I'll tell you what, it took me almost 7 years to have my first major success. You could have called it those first 7 years a string of failures. I think of them as, success, but there was nothing tangible at the end of the day for me from those first 7 years, other than like videos and other forms of, I was basically building a resume till I got up to the point where I had built a big enough resume that I had attracted larger, higher level interests that then funded my next projects. And that's the wisdom I would like to bring to this entire new paradigm movement. Is it's like, great, first steps is you blueprint everything out and you get yourself ready to receive money. And then you need to act as a collective, not just an individual, but as a group, acting together in a daily way where you're also recording what you're doing and recording the impact. It is critical that groups actually create impact before they get money. I'll tell you, unless you know someone personally who likes you, like no one gets funded until they've already done something significant. So I just really want to encourage everyone to like find a way to act daily, to embody your blueprints, beyond just writing them and talking about them. Something else, like, it really depends on the blueprint. But for a lot of people too, this means actually educating yourself further. Most people don't have the skills to actually embody their blueprint. So it's important we take the time and we learn. We develop our skills so we're more useful, so we can embody these things on a level to inspire confidence in the people with the money to give us their money. Because I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people that are very wealthy and want to give the new paradigm their money. But the new paradigm, the groups, there does not exist a group around that has actually warranted large sums of money. And I would know. I've been tracking all of them and have software suites that help me do that. I basically have like 50 different clones of me that are a form of software intelligence that I use to like keep track of a lot of stuff. And people need to work on embodying what they're doing more. That this is our next step as the new paradigm revolution is embodiment in action. And then when we do that for long enough, we will have all the money we could ever want. But we have to do this next step first. I don't believe we're going to get the money so we can act. I believe we need to act, and then we will get the money. And that's what I really wanted to share today. That's the channel coming through for me. You guys have anything to say about that?
Leela, do you have something?
Just in response to that last point Dakota mentioned, I feel that so fully right now, is that like embodiment piece of our like full systems coming online. It's just so evident that, we're still doing the work personally. And so for the hologram to really be like its fullest version that we see it at, it's a combination of all of our personal essences and presences and ability for us to source and embody the truth and act in it in integrity and honor. And we're still growing that. We're still in a lot of ways like little baby Buddhas rolling around on the ground. And I guess just, continuing forth with that patience and also doing the personal work necessary so we're each shining in our genius. That's just a piece that just still feels really important. And as much as maybe we want to do and act, it's just as much as important to really make sure we're sourcing ourselves from our center. And I've been feeling my vibration dipped just being in the winter and being just more inside. And now I'm taking the steps necessary to like raise my vibration through a new regimen again, so I can be more of service.
And then it all comes down to that too, is like the give. A lot of us are still struggling with survival, so it's hard to give anything. But I'll tell you what, through dedication, we all have something to give. We are all capable of going far beyond our survival, and not only surviving, but thriving as well as giving. And all of us, no matter where we are, even if you're homeless on the streets, you can reach this state of being. And I'll tell you what, I've been there. I refused housing for 2 years, and I wandered the lands, and I thrived every day with nothing. And I helped a lot of people in that state of being. It can be done. No, like I encourage us to expand beyond our excuses, and just step up into being more than whatever we were the day before.
Yes, everything you guys have said. Yes, I have had a similar journey. You could say. I completed 8 years in my own business in Ohio just a few years ago, and learned a lot coming out of my master's in business and launching a transportation service, essentially dreaming up, like with the blueprints coming in, dreaming up the Uber model, but not actually building it into form, but like essentially like that level. So to the point where I crossed the country a few years ago, and all I had was a van and my belongings, and I lived in my van on the streets of LA, and totally, created this abundant lifestyle within living in a van, going to the YMCA, negotiating a $10 a month for 6 months at the YMCA so I can go to hot tub, sauna, steam, jacuzzi, exercising, sports every morning, like hanging out with all these wealthy Jewish men. Like if I wanted to like go to the wealthy right there, I could have just done it. Could have been like, here's what we're doing. Like I positioned myself in the right neighborhood of LA and had no costs, zero costs. I came out to California with $1,000 and didn't know I was going to have to be in my van. I had things planned out, but then right away when I got out here, it was like, you're going to be in your van and you got to get a job. And I was like, okay, I was coming out here to bring in a better world, and now I've got to start from zero. And that's what Spirit wants. Spirit wants us to like totally build that strong foundation within ourselves. And like totally, like I was like, somebody was like, get food stamps. And I was like, no, that's bad. That's poor people. No. But then I was like, okay. And I did it. So that was, and then all of a sudden I had $200 a month food stamps, $200 a month cash aid. And then I was telling the food stamp office that we were working on humanitarian projects to bring in a better world. And we were traveling to all these conferences and festivals to do so. And they gave us $75 more a month. So it was myself, and I met 2 partners who formed Source Network Foundation at that time was our blueprint. And we had 3 of us, all 3 of us had $200 food stamps, $200 a month cash aid, and $75 each for transportation. So that was like, we hit the maximum. That was Wealth Stewardship Collective right there. For like, we didn't want to live in the old paradigm. We wanted to be free to work on bringing in a better world. And so I would just wake up in the van, go to the YMCA, then go over to this local cafe where there's free Wi-Fi, and would just work on bringing in a better world. And then when we traveled, 3 of us in a van. We went to all the conferences, networked with all the different people that are doing amazing things, to meet like hundreds of people that are holding these open source web platforms that are birthing them with nothing. Like literally every single person is struggling to get housing or having issues with money or losing their house, everything, like every person. And they're holding these blueprints for these open source platforms that when we put them together completes the resource-based economic system. So that was the journey. The first couple months even in Los Angeles was meeting those like 100 to 200 maybe, that have these huge project blueprints out here in California that you know, so it's like been the call to like bring this all together for the past 2 years. And just for Spirit wanted me to get grounded and me to get the basics figured out. Like I had to learn to cook, you know, I had to learn to take care of another person. I had to you know, it kept telling me to focus more on myself and being grounded. And I, for 2 years out here in California, that's what it's been. It's like, yes, Source Network, like Change the World has been like the internet version of me, but like I've had to live in people's houses and serve their every need and then find time to work on these projects. But ultimately I was learning to become a man and be able to embody this new version of me, that I'm starting to manifest a better place to live. I'm starting to manifest a vehicle. I'm starting to manifest people helping me get things set up so that I just manifested this iPhone, you know, this iPhone 4, and while I manifested it, somebody said, now you're going to get a 6 in a few weeks. And like, they're little things that are showing like the better place to live, more time and to focus on this and show up in the world and do seminars and but really like for each of us to like really have a solid website that's professional, that lists who we are with our bio, with our products, our services, and our events, and that we each have that website, and that our organizations have professional websites like that, and that that we show up, you know, professionally to the world with the right wording, and that we have the materials like the sponsorship decks and all the different business documents so that we can get our presentation really professional, so that we can present to the investors. And that also, like you're saying, like what I was tuning into is like ASC, great, Source, great, all these, we're all great. Now let's focus it into just the core operation that we can do. Who are those core leaders? What's the core operation? And execute that system so well that it achieves results, quantifiable results for a time period, and then to present that with those professional documents, professional presentations, all those things in alignment. That's what's coming through for me, for our organizations.
That's what we're doing. Good channel, Doran. Thanks for sharing that.
And I love that.
Yeah, that's our next step. I think focusing on cooperative business is really important for this next stage.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the agency concept. Like a lot of us have been getting that agency. So like each person on our core council within the ASC, we each have a specific role or a few roles that we are more so a master in that role. So like to be able to identify clearly what each person's role is and to put that together on one document.
There you are. What's up, Doran?
I was just saying the agency, that each of us identifies our main role or roles within the ASC, and then we have a document that lists all the core leaders and our key role or roles, and that we have, you know, those link over to our personal websites or whatnot that says what our rates are for the services we offer, so that we can say, here we are, the ASC, here's our core leadership team. We're in service as a consulting agency towards humanitarian projects and towards light workers. And here is our rates as a collective. If you want to book us all, or if you want to book one of us for a certain service, here's the rates. We also do trades, exchange. You know, we could even do ownership trades, you know, share trades. We can start, you know, we want to see them all have their own collective. So that's a service that ASC is definitely offering to all these organizations out there. And that they can see that when they do that, we all sit on each other's boards, and we're, like, they don't have to pay us $100 to $300 an hour for each of our services once we really link up. So that's encouraging them to come into our space, to do the trainings, to start getting, linked, interconnected.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm all about it. Yeah,
Cool.
an important next step. Absolutely.
Well,
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Is that the new Earth directory, Doran? You just explained? Sounds like it. Cool.
Not really.
I think that's all about what I had to say today. So
Okay.
You're pretty fuzzy, Doran. You're kind of going in and out. Maybe we'll just close it up.
Yep. Thank you all.
Much love. Until next time.
All right. Thank you all. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Doran. Bye, Dakota.
Bye. Have a good one.